I'm a big fan of Stephen King, and there are a few of his older books that I have not read. One of them that I've been meaning to read for a while is the one we're going to talk about today, and that's The Stand. This book is epic, and it took me a lot longer to get through than I thought it would. My brain, I was like, oh yeah, 1,200 pages should take me about a week. Try like a month. I couldn't plow through it. I had to set it down, step away, and come back to it at certain points because it's a lot. So, The Stand, the basic premise, it's there's a pandemic that happens called Captain Trips or Tube Neck. There is a virus that gets out that was released by the US military, and it has a 99.4 killing rate. So very few people survive this. Coming into the book, you have Patient Zero, this guy, Charlie, who was at a military base for this Project Blue that they worked with viruses and stuff that they're not supposed to be working with. The virus gets out. He has very limited time. He runs home, he wakes up his wife, Sally, they get their baby, Levon, and they get out of there. And they get out of there in the base, like, by millimeters. Like, everything goes into lockdown right after he gets up. But he wakes her up. He's like, they're all dead. And she's like, what is happening? Da 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 da. And then they just start driving. You come to this town, and there is this guy, Bill Hapscom. He owns a Texaco gas station. And him and some of the guys who hang out down there, they're all around, and someone sees like this car approaching the gas pumps, and it's like weaving all over the road and whatnot. And one of the dudes is like, "Hey, Bill, you better turn off those pumps. Someone's gonna run into it and they're gonna like blow up." So he turns off the pumps like just in time, and then this car like hits the pump and takes one out, and he's like, "Thank God I had insurance on that." There's this guy, he kind of like falls out of the car when they go over there. There's a dead baby and the woman, they're all dead, and they're like Patient Zero. And basically, all the people around that were near this guy are exposed now to this virus, and they all have the virus. And it shows just how quickly everything starts spreading. And so, very quickly, this kills off the population, and everybody starts dying. In towns, there'll be like one, maybe two people left in their whole town, just dead bodies laying in houses and all this stuff. So you go through this whole thing of just these different people and what their lives were before. You have this one character, Larry Underwood. He had just kind of like starting to get into being famous. He had this hit song, Baby Can You Dig Your Man. He had been partying all the time, and just people were kind of taking advantage of that, and he kind of like hit rock bottom with the partying. And one of his bandmates was like, dude, the party has to end. You got to end this stuff. You got to send these people home, and they're going to give you a bunch of crap for this, with this, that, and the other. Because, he's just partying, doing drugs and drinking and spending all the money that he made, going into debt. He ends up leaving California, going to see his mom in New York City. And you get like some of his story, and then you get this other guy, Stu Redman, and then this other girl, Franny. She was like 19. She got pregnant from the dude she was with, Jess, but she didn't want to marry him, and she tells him this. And so you get these little vignettes of all these people, and then you see the people that end up surviving. And then there's these very few people left. And once this happens, they start to find each other and slowly start to come together. So Franny, the girl who's pregnant, ends up, there's one other guy in her town, this 16-year-old guy, Harold Laudener, and he's kind of gross and just a big nerdy like dude that, I don't know, people used to bully and whatnot. So he doesn't have very good self-esteem, but he's kind of smart and he knows a lot of stuff. He reads a lot of books. He's very knowledgeable. And so with his knowledge, he's actually kind of good to have around, but he totally falls in love with Franny, and he's 16, so, anything that comes between that is not going to be good. And so you have them, and they set off for, I think their goal was to go and see what was happening in one of the plague centers. They were in Maine, and so they were going to head up to this plague center to see if there's anyone there that knows anything, or if there's any people even there. And so Harold, like, leaves a message on this barn roof saying, hey, Harold Bonner and Franny, we went here. This is the address of where we're going, this, that, and the other. eventually, like, some people actually find that and they start following, like, Harold's directions. Then you have all these other stories of these other people too. Like, what happens is people kind of start having these dreams about the Dark Man, this evil. There's these red eyes in a cornfield, but then they're also dreaming about this old black lady who sits on a porch and plays the guitar, and there's just this really peaceful, good feeling about this woman. And she's like, you guys can come to me, I'll be here, and we'll meet up and this, that, and the other. And the people are having shared dreams. So it's almost like once society has gone and collapsed, magic seems to almost come back a little bit. The Walking Man, or the Dark Man, or Randall Flagg, who is the adversary, he gets a feeling something's happening, and so he is gonna take his leave and go out to Las Vegas to gather his darkness and his minions and all the people that are on the wrong side of the coin, I guess you would say. And so people start migrating either out to Mother Abigail or to the Dark Man. You have these people just trekking across the US and, meeting up and finding other people that are alive and slowly but surely forming groups. Some effed up stuff happens. There's a lot of effed up people that are evil, and you have everything for the taking though. Like all these stores, you can just go in, take the clothes that you need, the grocery stores, there's the canned food. There's not a whole lot of people left, so it's not really too much of an issue of not having enough. It's there right now. And so the basic thing is like everyone coming all together and I guess trying to restart some sort of society and have a life again or something to move towards. And outside of this pandemic killing off all these other people, a lot of other people didn't die because of the Captain Trips, but just accidents that happened or getting an infection and not knowing what to do because, yeah, now there's no doctors that are in the immediate vicinity. And Franny's worried about, okay, I'm going to have this baby, but no one knows how to deliver these babies. What the heck am I going to do? But let's not think about it right now. And so you have all these different characters as they move towards, Mother Abigail and the Dark Man. And so Mother Abigail ends up going to Boulder, Colorado, where they set up shop there. And the Dark Man goes to Las Vegas. The Dark Man, he finds this one guy, Lloyd, who Lloyd had been out with this other guy, Poke, and they basically would just go around and kill people and rob them, and they were bad dudes. And Lloyd had ended up in jail, and he was probably going to die in that jail, not due to Captain Trips. Like, everyone else died, and he just couldn't get out because no one was left there. He was, like, gnawing on the cellmate next to him, like, trying to eat his cellmate. I think he ate his foot or something. And the Dark Man comes, and he's like, Lloyd, I'm going to make you my right-hand man. And Lloyd's like, okay, because he didn't want to die, but he also was like, I just sentence myself to death. This is worse. This is worse. But he went along with it. And then there's this other guy, too. Trash Can Man. Oh, Trash Can Man. Is he one of the most memorable people in the story? Because he definitely might be. If you know, then you know. If I were to choose my favorite character too, I mean, I'm always going to love the animal character. So Kojak the dog, because man, almost like all the dogs died when this flu happened. None of the cats did, and I don't think like the wolves didn't, but most of the dogs died. And there's this man, Glenn Bateman, and he finds Kojak. And Kojak used to belong to someone else. I think Kojak's name was like Big Steve or something beforehand. And so Glenn Bateman ends up meeting up with, I can't remember if he met up with Stu or Larry. I think it was Larry. No, it was Stuart, wasn't it? Anyways, when they start walking towards Nebraska in the beginning, because Mother Abigail is in Nebraska, and then eventually she has dreams about going to Boulder, so they go to Boulder. But they all leave, and he leaves Kojak. Once they get to Boulder, months later, Kojak finds him, and he had left him way on the other side of the country, but that dog came and found him, and so I'm like, oh man. Yeah, and Kojak has like kind of like a really like savior role in this. It's kind of a badass dog, if you're asking me. But yeah, Oi was my favorite character in the Dark Tower. So, I loved Kojak, but also like Tom Cullen. I love Tom Cullen. He might be one of my favorites too. I really liked him. And then for like bad characters, Trash Can Man. Holy crap. That guy. He was a pyro, liked to blow stuff up. When he was on his way to the Dark Man, he was passing through Gary, Indiana. He went and he blew up like these big, like gas tank reserves that just like blew up the whole frickin' city. And yeah, the Dark Man was like, I'm gonna set you to go forth and burn. And so the thing is, over in Vegas, once they get everyone like situated, you have the people in Boulder and you have the people in Vegas. In Vegas, they're getting everything like ready to go. In Boulder, they're just kind of still trying to like get everything together. But the Dark Man is like, they're teaching people to fly. They've got the lights on. They're gathering up weapons. They're getting these missiles, and like Trash Can Man is going out and he's finding stuff. Like somehow he has this like intuitive sense to just find like weapons and bombs and all kinds of stuff, and he brings it back. And the thing is, stuff with the Dark Man though starts to crumble. And you got to think like you have all these people with bad intentions all in one place. If it's all bad intentions, like it's going to start to crack around the seams, especially because you can't just like, what's holding it all together? It's like, yeah, you have your fear, but like people are going to start trickling away and not wanting to be part of this, and like, or just, you know, they're kind of insane people, so maybe they just don't really care about what the Dark Man was doing. Because there you meet these other characters too. Like there's this other character that was like the kid, and him and Trash Can Man traveled together for a while, and that was an effed up escapade and part of the story. But the kid, he was like, he wanted to dispose of the Dark Man and take over things for himself. And it's like, yeah, well, that wasn't gonna happen. So you have a lot of selfishness maybe in one place. You also have this woman too, Nadine, and she was traveling with this younger kid, Joe, who in the beginning he was nonverbal and he had a knife and didn't trust anyone and was gonna like stab everybody, and it seems like he had a lot of trauma going on. And Nadine dreams of the Dark Man, but she ends up going with people who are going towards Mother Abigail. And this whole time, like, she was kind of in love with Larry, but she wouldn't let herself and she wouldn't give herself to him because she was saving herself apparently for the Dark Man. I guess she was gonna, you know, be his bride or whatever. And so she fights with this like the whole time if she's going to or not. And so that's part of the story. There's so many freaking moving parts of this. It's kind of crazy. I was like thinking about it, and I'm thinking about all the different characters, and I'm like, there's so many. And the fact that King's able to like make this cohesive story out of so much, like the devil is in the details, and the details are definitely in these pages. And two, like with reading it, like I said, I'd have to set it down at times just because it would become too much. And like also like the text in the book is very small, so I'd have to stop too because my eyes would like bug out from reading it. But yeah, the ending is definitely worth it. If you start it and you're like kind of like, I don't know, you got to stick it out for the ending because it's so good. Yeah, like, okay, so is Nadine gonna have like the Antichrist child? Because it seems like that's what the Dark Man wants to do. Randall Flagg. He wants to destroy, he wants to be the anti create, you know, like rip everything apart. And so the people in Boulder are going to have to take a stand. And it's like, are they even going to be ready? Because the people in Vegas seem like they're like miles ahead with the stuff that they're doing. But like I said, they have loose cannons. And one of those loose cannons might be Trash Can Man, the pyro. He's just out doing his thing, la-di freaking da. And I wouldn't say he goes rogue, but he doesn't, no one's really controlling him. You know, like you carry all the baggage of your life with you, and he had a lot of people who, you know, just made fun of him and looked down on him when he was a kid. So he might be easily triggered by stuff. And when triggered, he might kind of like throw wrenches in the Dark Man's plan, even though he didn't possibly mean to, and this, that, and the other. You also get to see, like, when you're in Boulder, how they're trying to get the power back on, how they slowly, like, get these different, like, this committee where they decide what they're going to do and what they're going to focus on next, like that they need law in the town, you know, because you have someone going around and breaking all the windows down one street, and you have some people getting really freaking drunk, and some guy like beating up his wife because she cheated on him, and this and the other. Like they're like, okay, maybe we need to have law. It's basically they have to rebuild like their government and their foundation and how they're going to do that. And it's really fascinating to see how that all works and whatnot. And then you have, obviously, the Dark Man's gonna have spies. So you do have people over there who are trying to sabotage things. And also, so Harold Laudner, who came out there with Franny, they run into this guy, Stuart Redmond. Harold, he's 16, he's in love with Franny. He's like being all like, you know, acting like he owns her when they first meet. And Stu's like, dude, don't worry. I'm not gonna come for your woman. I'm not interested. It's fine. I just want other people to like go on with and find our destination and this, that, and the other. But it ends up Stuart is he does want her eventually. And Franny never wanted Harold. Like Harold's always been this like kind of repulsive, immature dingus to her. And he never really grows out of that. And at some point though, like he could be so much more, but he never like lets go of his past and of the bullying and all the stuff that happened. And he's so young that like he holds a grudge. So eventually when her and Stuart do end up being together, he like has this insane grudge. And then he starts going the way of like, okay, I'm gonna murder Stuart and I'm gonna get my revenge and maybe I'll kill Franny. I don't know. But he's gonna do the work of the Dark Man. And then at some point him and Nadine link up because Nadine finally gave in to the Dark Man. Like she waited too long to save herself and it was too late. And so those two, they try to sabotage some stuff in Boulder, and some stuff does get effed up because of them, but I would say they both regretted their decisions. I love the writing. I love the story. The characters are awesome. I always like a good light versus darkness story, and the shades of gray in between. I think Stephen King always shows really well. This story I think was harder for me to read because it's something that after with us going through an actual pandemic ourselves with COVID, you see how quickly stuff can spread. And with us recently coming from that and reading this, it was a lot. But this was obviously way worse because almost no one survived. It's just a fantastic story. The ending is amazing. Yeah, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this book. I've seen in one of my other videos, I want to do at some point my top 10 favorite Stephen King books. This one will obviously be in there. But there is a few more that I do want to read before I do that. I don't actually know how many Stephen King books I've read. I should really look into that. I don't know. He's written like 70, right? Somewhere around there, I want to say. What are your favorite Stephen King books? I'm very curious. Let me know. So, if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.